Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Troilus and Cressida, and we get to hear from Ulysses again today in Act 1, Scene 3. Now, we've already met Troilus, who's in love with Cressida, but thinks he can only get her through Pandarus. We've already met Cressida, who's in love with Troilus, but doesn't want to let him know because she believes that the thrill is in the chase. And now we're over on the Greek side of things, where they're actually talking about the war. It is maybe a little bit funny that the Trojans, like the war is secondary when we're chatting with the Trojans, but war is primary when we're talking with the Greeks. And we are with the Greeks right now, including Ulysses and Nestor and Agamemnon and a bunch of others. And Agamemnon started out the scene by saying, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing that we haven't destroyed Troy yet because, you know, this is a test from Jove and we're showing that we are persistent and consistent and all of these sorts of things. So this is not necessarily a bad thing. And then Nestor sort of tacked on to that a little bit more of the same. And then Ulysses was like, you know, I get what y'all are saying, and those were great speeches. Agamemnon, great speech, and Nestor, you're really old, so yay, but please, I have something to say. Will you let me say it? Will you listen? And Agamemnon's like, yes, please, tell us, open your mouth and let the words come out. And Ulysses says, Troy yet upon his basis had been down, and the great Hector's sword had lacked a master, but for these instances. The specialty of rule hath been neglected, and look how many Grecian tents do stand hollow upon this plain. So many hollow factions. When that the general is not like the hive, to whom the foragers shall all repair, what honey is expected? Degree being visited, the unworthy as shows as fairly in the mask. The heavens themselves, the planets, and this center observe degree, priority, and place in sisture, course, proportion, season, form, office, and custom in all line of order. And therefore is the glorious planet Sol in noble eminence enthroned and sphered amidst the other, whose medicinable eye corrects the ill aspects of planets evil, and posts like the commandment of a king, stands check to good and bad. But when the planets in evil mixture to disorder wander, what plagues and what portents, what mutiny, what raging of the sea, shaking of earth, commotion in the winds, frights, changes, horrors, divert and crack, rend and deracinate the unity and married calm of states quite from their fixture. Oh, when degree is shaked, which is the ladder to all high designs, the enterprise is sick. How could communities, degrees in schools and brotherhoods in cities, peaceful commerce from dividable shores, the primogenitive and due of birth, prerogative of age, crowns, scepters, laurels, but by degree stand in authentic place? Take but degree away, untune that string, and hark what discord follows. Each thing meets in mere repugnancy. The bounded waters should lift their bosoms higher than the shores and make a sop of all this solid globe. Strength should be lord of imbecility, and the rude son should strike his father dead. Force should be right, or rather, right and wrong, between whose endless jar justice resides, should lose her names, and so should justice too. Then everything includes itself in power, power into will, will into appetite, and appetite, and universal wolf, so doubly seconded with will and power, must make perforce an universal prey, and last eat up himself. Great Agamemnon, this chaos, when degree is suffocate, follows the choking, and this neglection of degree is it that by a pace goes backward in a purpose it hath to climb. The generals disdained, by him one step below, he by the next, that next by him beneath. So every step exampled by the first pace that is sick of his superior grows to an envious fever of pale and bloodless emulation. And 'tis this fever that keeps Troy on foot, not her own sinews. To end a tale of length, Troy in our weakness lives, not in her strength. So this is Ulysses. I might have mentioned that some of the other guys tend to talk a lot. This is Ulysses showing that he also likes to talk a lot and likes to be very flowery. And he says the word degree in this speech a lot of times. And by degree, he means like status within society and you know, the natural pecking order of things, or in some cases the unnatural pecking order of things in the case of like kings and then princes and dukes and all of that sort of stuff. And what he's saying is, he starts out by saying we would have destroyed Troy a long time ago except for this: the Greek army is a mess. There are a lot of people who have left, and then nobody knows who's left in charge. A lot of people have died, and then nobody knows who's left in charge. So there's like, nobody knows who's supposed to be giving who orders and who they're supposed to be following. It's just chaos. And then the people that do step up to do things, they end up being resented by the people just below them, who are resented by the people just below them, who are resented. So it's this potential eruption of resentment within the ranks that's making the Greeks fight amongst themselves more than they're actually fighting Troy. He's like, it's our fault for being a bunch of idiots and being disorganized that Troy is still standing. Like, if we were better at our jobs being soldiers and warriors, Troy would have fallen a long time ago. And the guys that he's talking to, Agamemnon, Nestor, all that sort of thing, they're like, okay, so you've diagnosed the problem, what's the solution? And we'll get to hear the solution in his monologue tomorrow, or at least part of it. So I'll see you then for that. Mwah.